Do have a developing story overseas that could throw fuel on the fire of tension between the U.S. and Russia. The Kremlin demonstrating just how tightly knit its dealings are with Iran. President Putin scheduled to hold talks with the presidents of both Iran and Turkey. U.S. officials are concerned that Iran could become a key military and trade partner with Russia. The writing seems to be on the wall here. And Iran has agreed to actually give the country, Russia, drones to fight Ukraine, just as the West tries to cripple the Russian economy over the war, which has reportedly led to more than 5,000 civilian deaths. Tom Dempsey live in Washington with more on today's meetings. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Adrienne. Yeah, President Biden and his team here at the White House will no doubt be paying attention to this meeting happening in Iran. It, of course, comes right on the heels of his trip to the Middle East, and it involves not only Russia, but a country that could be sending Russian forces hundreds of armed drones to be used on the front lines of the Ukrainian war. Iran could also bring up the U.S. directly during this gathering as talks continue over a possible nuclear deal. These are the top three names to remember during this gathering as it gets underway in Iran. Turkey will also be part of everything as it balances being a member of NATO while also having relations with both Russia and Iran. And the meeting comes as the Russia and Ukraine war gets set to mark 5 months of just bloody action happening over in Europe. Russian President Vladimir Putin hopes the gathering can help strengthen ties with other countries as Russia continues to be ostracized in certain parts of the globe. With this war, though, showing no signs of ending, the talks could involve Iran sending hundreds of armed drones to Russia that U.S. military leaders say could arrive as soon as later this month. But speaking to NewsNation one-on-one just yesterday, the National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby spoke about a possible deal between the two countries, showing that sanctions could be working.
Russia is more isolated. Now Mr. Putin has to go to Iran for advanced capabilities like UAVs. It remains to be seen how many he's going to buy and what he's going to do with them. But I think it says a lot about the pressure he's under in his own defense industrial base. The sanctions and the export controls are having an effect on his ability to replenish his stocks and his systems, his capabilities in the region.
Back here in D.C., a Senate committee later today on Capitol Hill will be discussing Sweden and Finland possibly joining NATO. If you can remember back just a few weeks ago, Turkey actually dropped its objections to those two countries joining NATO, which could, again, be another interesting talker during this meeting in Iran.
Tom, what do we know about Ukraine's First Lady coming to D.C.?
Oh, yeah. In a few hours, actually, First Lady Jill Biden will be greeting her here at the White House. And then later on, the First Lady of Ukraine will be going over to Capitol Hill. This is tomorrow, speaking to members of Congress, possibly about future military aid. But photos released showed Secretary of State Antony Blinken greeting her yesterday here in D.C. So, again, some interesting things to watch for as this war in Ukraine continues. And we're seeing developments not only in Iran, but also here in D.C. with the First Lady of Ukraine coming here. Guys.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.